Hello and welcome to the Daring and Mighty podcast with me, Katie Phillips. And today I have a special segment for you called Sisters on Speed Dial. Because where would we be in this crazy world if it wasn't for our sisters? Am I right? And one of my sisters that I have on speed dial is my very good friend, Paula Lacobara. Paula is also a women's empowerment coach, and she was actually my personal coach about 12 years ago. We've become great friends. And recently, when I was moving through what I have already shared with you, something that I've called the sacred void, I was speaking with Paula because, would you believe, she was going through her own sacred void at exactly the same time. So we had a lot to talk about, and very many times we said, oh my gosh, we should have been recording that. What we just said then would help so many women. So now that we're both emerging outside the other side of our sacred void, we're excited to finally have this conversation live, to be able to share our experiences with you in the hope that when the day comes, and maybe you're already there, that you are in your own sacred void. You'll know you're not alone, and maybe we'll have a little bit of wisdom and a couple of tips and tools that will help you through it as well. So please do enjoy this wonderful conversation I'm about to have with Paula. I'd love to hear how it landed for you, so please do let me know. And remember, you are daring and mighty. Hey there, Paula.
Hello,
Nice
darling.
Hi, darling. So good to see you.
You as well, as always. So excited to be here with you.
Yes. And where in the world are you right now?
I am in the north of the United States, in Vermont, where I live. Yeah.
Where I'm coming to visit you very soon.
I know. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to get up there.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun
We are. So
on
I
your
am,
on your US tour.
yeah, part of my US tour. I know before we leave the country.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to squeeze everything in. There's so much to see.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive straight in to talking about what I've come to refer to it as the sacred void.
hmm
You and I went through something very similar at a very similar time. And we had some pretty profound conversations where we were like saying things that we didn't think anybody else would understand. And yet we were literally verbalizing each other's thoughts.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a really crazy time, wasn't it? And yeah,
That was
filled with,
like what, 2 years ago? 2 years?
well, yes. Well, I mean, well, where do we even begin with that? And that's part of the conversation, isn't it? Like, how long was the sacred void for each of us? So, first of all, why don't we begin with you sharing? Well, do you even call it the sacred void? Do you have a different language for it?
Yeah, for me, it didn't feel like a void. For me, it felt like it was a pause.
Right.
So, I mean, pause, but really what was underneath the pause was me realizing that I had, and in Spanish sounds way more articulated, but I'm going to translate it because my tantrum was in Spanish.
Okay.
But I will do my best to translate it. So basically, it was the time of my life that I have to be able to not can. Like I can't. It was like my I can't uh moment, time. Like
Yeah. How would you say that in Spanish?
um now hold on. My brain is like recolor. What? Uh no puedo. Yeah, it was the time of like, no puedo, but it's not like I can't. It was like, I have to not be able to can. That was like, tengo que poder to no poder. Era eso, no? Like something like that. Anyway, But so basically, and my work, obviously, and you know that I'm very fond of teaching boundaries, right? So saying no, asking for what you want, being clear about what you want. So it's not like, but it was a different no. It was, I can't.
And
It's a
that you and I,
very different energy.
yes, and you and I bonded deeply on that because I had exactly the same language in my head. It was like my whole body, if I thought about doing certain things I've always done in my business, for example, my head went, I can't. And my whole body went, I can't. Like, I get that I could and I have the time, and that actually sounds really interesting, but I can't.
Yeah, for me it was permission to can't. So
Yeah.
it's something
Yes.
sounds weird. But yeah, exactly. So to me it was a deeper level. So this is the beauty of, it was part of also a big piece of what I stand for, which is there's layers. This work is in layers. And different times, the different situations. When I talk about the archetypes, I say like you have to master your archetypes because they're activated in different times and different situations. And this cycle will want to repeat itself. And it's on us to like, okay, wait, why? What's going on? And reassess. They're indicators, right? The archetypes are indicators of what's going on inside. And so the same thing with this was a deeper layer of a boundary, and it wasn't a boundary about like I don't want that in my life or you're not allowed to do that in my life anymore. It was more about like it was me with me.
Yes.
It was like me putting a stop on me, like loco, like what, like how, what am I allowed? And it was it was the deepening of a relationship with myself.
Totally. Yes. So when did this I can't begin for you? How long ago?
So
And how
it,
old were you as well?
yeah, of course. So interestingly enough, in 2020, so what was that, 46? Yeah, 2020, I was 46. 2020 was the beginning of, oh wow, like I've done my work. I was in output a lot, doing my work, teaching all the things that I know that I kept applying into my life.
Mhm.
I think you can validate that I've always been cohesive with my work and very as much as I could to be as open and transparent as possible to share my life completely in all the different online, on my newsletters, on my work, on my groups, on my retreats. Like I've done, I was very transparent and showing what I could at the time and what was very aware because I knew it would serve. And also part of it was the motivation to get to the other side, if we will, or to grow through it was also that I had my groups and my women, and right, like it was the accountability that I needed. In 2020, I was in Argentina when the pandemic started. And I've already launched a couple programs. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm good. Like, um, when the world stopped, it was permission for me to stop. So I was getting things done. And again, I was feeling it. I was, coming to creation, visualize like the visions, and then they came through. I was in a certain type of balance, and I was still growing. I wanted to expand. And when the world paused, I was like, no, it's not the time. So I'm like, okay, now that the world, so it's interesting because right at that time is when everyone took off, and I did the opposite. I started to slow down. And then in 2021, I had the opportunity to open the Spanish market, which was a dream. It was like, it was in my vision. So I'm like, oh my God. So I translated everything into my into Spanish,
Yeah.
and and teaching this work in Spanish tapped me into something even deeper, a deeper fiber of myself.
Mm.
Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
2020, okay, by the way, so 2020, I was in Argentina, and then Rob came back, my husband came back to Vermont, and I didn't leave because my parents were high risk. We didn't know what was happening. I stayed 8 months on my
Yeah,
own.
you suddenly found yourself. I remember that 8 months on your own in an apartment in Argentina. Your husband
A
was in
small
North America.
apartment that I booked for like what was going to be a month or a couple weeks, and it turned into 8 months of isolation, without my cat, without my husband, without, but it was, so that's why I went in, you
So
know?
that was in, so that, would you say that was the beginning of your
Yeah.
sacred void was 2020? You were about to release all of these programs, and at the same time, the world shut down. You found yourself at home, cocooned in this apartment,
Yeah.
and felt no desire to put anything out into the world. You just went deep within for those
Well, I
months.
realized, yes, sorry, I realized that there was a deeper layer of myself, that because I was so busy and, fulfilling my life's work and my passion,
Hmm.
that I didn't take the space to look at within in my next evolution. So that allowed me to tap more into a new level of depth for myself that was needed
Hmm.
for me,
Hmm.
right? And so then life again, right? Like I had the Spanish market. So I started teaching that and translating all of my programs, and it was easy. That's what I did it as at the same time. Like it came to me, someone invited me to a summit, and then we hit it off, and then we did programs, and then she's like, you have to offer something there. That's right. And so, well, and it was perfect. And I was so excited, but then I got a little busy with that. So that part of myself that needed the attention was again kind of like, okay, I got you. We're going to do slow, but no, she wanted it now and deep. And so that's when in 2023, so 2021, I opened the Spanish market. 2023, I'll never forget this. It was one summer night. I was sleeping and I wake up with this foot on my chest. I had an anxiety attack. Never had that before. And I remember Rob was like, "What's going on?" I couldn't breathe. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. I get emotional. I said, I can't,
Yeah.
because I created this. I created that Rob and I were sharing the business. Um, and it was fine. Like he was doing his part, I was doing my part. So it's not like anybody did anything wrong. It's like that part of me was like so loud and clear and took a stand for no more. Again, this I teach this to my clients, and we have all different generations. And
Yeah.
it's like almost like seeing, me as a coach and then me as the client. And it was like like I was my own client at that time, and like knowing what needed to happen, and then like having like asking for it and saying it out loud and expressing it to my partner, and all of that at the same time. And Rob, to the point that Rob, the next day, he knew I was serious. Like he knew that this was not a joke, or like I woke up with my wrong side of the bed, or I was like right on my.
Yes, this was different.
Right. It wasn't like, like I'm on my period, I'm more sensitive. No.
Yeah.
Or that I just like, had a bad day or had a, crazy time. And no, no, this was a completely different energy, different how I was feeling in the moment. The next day, Ro woke up and started applying for jobs.
Did
The
he? So,
the
so
next day, he didn't even we had that conversation and he saw it. He knew.
so because you were running the business together, he felt the gravitas of your energy saying, I can't.
Yeah. It
And the next day he was like, right, I need to come up with a solution for how we're going to finance our life going forward.
Yeah. Well, and my ask at the time was, I'm not gonna stop because I never really stopped. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I scaled back a lot, and that turned into facing all the worst fears, of like not making a certain amount. Who am I if I don't make a certain amount? Then what are my clients gonna think? I'm abandoning them. Like that good girl side. All the things that I needed to see. Like I needed to see this because I was holding everything in place. And again, not out of obligation because I do live in alignment, but at the time, I had the energy. And in 2023, I was 49. I was entering clearly I was entering what then became perimenopause. And then I turned 50. That's, I was 49 and a half, you could say. That was then. So it was all connected. Like when I look back today, I'm like, yeah, of course it was connected.
Of course. Okay, I'm going to pause you there because
Yeah.
I wanted to go deep into the juiciness of the ensuing 2 years from the beginning of 2023, which was when I had my I can't as well. It was the beginning of 2023. I don't know what was going on planetary at that point, but it's interesting that I had it at just the same time as you, but we didn't know we were going through it until later on we spoke about it. I just want to backtrack before we get deep into that because you were saying that in 2020 you went within for several months, and I remember it really well, and I will vouch for how aligned you live. You're one of the most congruent coaches I know, and you're very inspiring. So I know that in 2020 when you went deep within, you really went deep within, and you stayed there and you worked through the messy feelings of that and all that came up for you on completely on your own. In I mean, it was pretty incredible actually. But you moved through that because you had to. You listened to yourself and you stopped because mind, body, soul, spirit, all of it was saying stop. So you
Permission
listened.
to stop. Yeah. Permission to
Yes.
stop.
So you gave yourself the permission to stop.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, by the way, at that time in 2020, I was fired right up. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a pandemic. I wasn't scared. The world was. This is my opportunity to step
Yeah.
up and support. So I just went in like I was going live every day. I was on fire for my community at that point. So my energy was out in the world through that.
Remember you were asking, I was a guest in your program, in your membership, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I was in Argentina. I remember that.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So back to you. You went within. And then from that very still place of deep self alignment, self honoring, you'd given yourself permission to stop. You received an invitation to do some work in the Spanish market. And then that snowballed and became like an obvious, I have to translate my work into Spanish. And that was that pretty much the next 2 years of your life was really focused on that. And it felt aligned and good.
Yeah.
and you still weren't done by the sounds of it. So like, can you piece that together for me? Because then you had to stop again at another deeper level. That the permission to stop had you tune in and start creating work in a new way that was very aligned
Yeah.
until it not that it wasn't aligned, but it just wasn't for you. Something else was for you, which was asking you to stop.
Right. And again, I didn't stop with, so for example, in Spanish, by the end of 2023, I created the program that I've been wanting to create forever, which is a money program that a lot of my clients come to me for, that somehow we end up working on the relationship with money. It's not what I promote or what I do, what I used to not do. But so what I started to do was permission to do the things that I want to do and that I truly enjoy. Not that I didn't enjoy the other parts, but these were like put off for later. Like the
Yeah.
things that I put off for like paying him and then see I'll figure it out. No, I wanted the time to do them. So what I did is I did that program in
Mm-hmm.
um in Spanish, the
Mm-hmm.
money program, and it was a complete success in the sense I did a beta program. I'm going to actually launch it at the end of, the soon coming up. But so that program, we had like 10 women. The 10 women. So I created this program from thin air. Okay. Part of what I was teaching, but I created so many more elements that were exactly what I wanted. It was the feminine art of money, pretty much. That's what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the 10 women were like full success. Like they reached so many different things in their lives that they've always wanted to do, right? So I was doing that with them. So it's not like I stopped, like I said, but I stopped being, and this is important, I stopped being the one that had to be responsible. That was for me. For me, that I can't had to do with breaking that deep, deep pattern of the good girl who always had to be responsible and felt responsible for everything. I'm not saying I'm not going to be responsible for my stuff, but I overly took responsibility, as you might know. You already know, meaning, and all my clients know this is the good girl taking responsibility for everything and everyone. And I knew it in my heart and in my soul that I needed to break that cycle of me being the one. Because when we do that, we train people to count on you or depend on you, which makes us
Yeah.
feel valuable and worthy. But the stakes were really high. And I also noticed that my energy was not the same. I started to feel that. And again, I was reaching 50. So I noticed that I would get resentful when I had to do certain things. Before I didn't. I was doing it with joy, and now it's shifted. um, the joy wasn't there as I wanted to. So I started to feel like imposter syndrome. Like, what's going on? Like, I started to feel like I'm not in alignment. And it wasn't that I wasn't in alignment. I just needed to add this new layer and find my joy in a different way, in a different place.
Mm.
Where was that? And I needed the help because I created this. Again, I'm not going to blame my husband. My husband and I made a decision. And, I am the face of the business, or I was, right? In the setting that it was. So that was it. So if I didn't work, we wouldn't make money. Like if I decided to stop and I didn't create, so another thing I was confronted with, I didn't create the structures in my business at the time to have a business that sustains me. So check, that's what I want to do now. And I also, another piece. So these are all the different elements that I've been helping my clients with and that I've been doing, but this was a deeper layer for me. So
Hmm.
all the things that I will continue to teach now, I will continue to teach them from this deeper layer, which is so fun, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I needed to receive from the masculine. So a big part of my story, I think you might know already, I had a brother with special needs, and I had my father who also, he wasn't giving in the masculine way of giving, right? So I would go and ask him for money, and he has a big story with money himself,
Hmm.
and he
Hmm.
would give me like the bare minimum, all
Hmm.
these things because of his own lack, right? And so I would go into my mom's wallet and grab money, and my mom was like, fine, right? So that's what I learned. So even with money, but in general, my dad was less available, so I needed to receive from the men, and I didn't allow Rob because I got it.
Yes. Yes. Because your
So
conditioning is to have it. Like you've always just
I have to
got
have
it.
it. I have to have it. That's it. Like if I don't do
And
it, he will. Like
this
all
is
that
my
stuff.
story too. So what you're sharing is very much my story too, and was very woven into my own sacred void space. Carry on.
Yeah, no. So again, like I feel I had to revisit the things that I thought I already check, which I did at the time. Now I was invited into a deeper layer. And so I needed to receive from Rob because the polarity wasn't working for me in that regards. And again, it's not that Rob didn't want to give me, but I got it. And even at the receiving, he gave me many other things, but this financial piece and this part of like being provided for, in America, they call it the woman who lunches. Um,
And I feel like we're not allowed to say that as well.
what do you
Like,
mean?
well, it doesn't, it's not very empowered feminine to want to be provided for.
Well, exactly. So I needed to experience it. I don't know what they say, but I needed to experience it. I
Mhm.
wanted to experience it. I wanted it to know what it feels like because I never had. Never had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's so fun. And it doesn't make me less powerful. To the contrary.
Yeah.
This is part of my new work, by the way. Um, right. So, because there's so much out there that we can even talk for 3,000 hours around this, and the labels and the gender and the thing, you can label it whatever you want. I needed to receive from my man. And it's not that he didn't want to provide, I didn't allow it. And the way we set things up put me in a place where that was not a choice.
Mm-hmm. So during this period of time where you decided I can't, you were still working, but something about the way you were working and showing up in the world did shift. I mean, Rob went out applying for jobs and started his own thing, actually.
Yeah.
So, how did the way you show up in the world shift? What did that really look like?
Okay. So Rob already, him and I had the properties that we're managing. So he already had something. It's not like he was solely fully devoted to the business, but he needed to go out there and do more actively, bring more income because that's more, still like we had that going on. For me, oh, ask me the question again. Sorry.
Well,
Just I
what
guess I tried.
So what shifted for you when you had that deep I can't?
Yeah.
How were you showing up differently? Like how did you respond to that in practical
Yes.
day-to-day
Yes.
terms?
Yes. So I really had to go deeper into what I call the good girl, the one that pleases, the one that responds right away, that's super efficient, that get things done. And that's my Miss Brains and my masculine side that does. But again, see, it gets very confusing. But my good girl always wanted to make everyone happy. And I still did it at the time. I did it with me in the equation. It's not like I wasn't in the equation, but I knew that I needed to readjust the way I was holding spaces, programs. I needed to have more lightness, more ease. I needed to be clearer on how, because I felt like, for example, we had a call and I said, okay, this is a 90-minute call, right? And then we'll end up doing 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. And it felt generous for me at the time to do it. I don't regret a thing. But right now, my energy was not the same. So I needed to go back to me and what I was able to do and care for myself even at a deeper level than before. So I needed to clarify, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is how, like, I had to recalibrate my whole life and my whole way of operating in my business, in my life, with people. I also realized that because I was so busy, I wasn't really sharing the whole cake. I was always sharing some parts of the cake with the people that I love. And in the whole point of that, I also needed to deepen my relationship, right? Like when I talk about healing my relationship with men and the masculine, and like I had to do my own part on that, also part of the feminine, my mom's side lineage. So that was a time that I needed to take for me, but I didn't want to have the pressure to still bring the money in, to still like be out there. I needed to have that, sacred space to feel, to be, to connect, and to recalibrate. It almost felt like, so in conjunction with the 50 number, was like, okay, the second, which is not really, maybe it will be second, maybe I'll live 100, but what do I want in the second part of my life? How do I want it to be? I know I'm a creator, we know that. What do I want this to be? How do I want it? And I started literally like piece by piece, area by area. Everything that I do with my clients, I started to now do it for myself. And of course, I didn't do it alone because, of course, that's part of the receiving, having the support of someone to see me, to help me go through that experience. And and all the pendings that I had, the pins that I had in certain relationships, in certain areas, I just created that vision of what I wanted, and one by one I started to like go through it. Do you know what I mean?
Tell me more.
Well, so like, okay, the relationship with my mom. Okay, I'm
Right.
going to work deeper on that. The relationship with my dad, I'm going to work deeper on that. The relationship with my sisters, I'm going to work deeper on that. A relationship
Right.
with my friends, relationship with Rob, like relationship with my business. We live in relationship to life, relationship to everything. So how do I want this to be? And when you go back to inside, then you can gain that perspective of, okay, so what do I need?
Yes. Yes. So during this period of time, and if I'm remembering right from the conversations that we had, you weren't creating anything new or launching anything. You were carrying on with the clients you had and the programs you were already running. But your work, if you want to put it in inverted commas, what you were being called to was to do that in a deeper way. Sorry, not in a deeper way, in a different way. So
Yeah.
it was really the energy you were bringing. And I think that you and I talked about this because this was so much of my experience and it's still a little work in progress for me, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
I was showing up. The only way I could describe it, it was with every new offering I was creating, any launch I was doing, any coaching client I was with or group, my energy was forward. So, which would, to speak to your language, the good girl, wanting everyone to be okay, wanting to make sure everyone had a great experience, received incredible value, that it be just, just perfect. So my energy was forward. And there's nothing wrong. And of course, like I pride myself on having a business and being a coach that delivers what she says she's going to deliver, that provides a great experience, that the client is the focus of my attention. I think that's wonderful qualities to have,
Yes.
just not to your own expense, to your own detriment, right? And I noticed that my energy was forward. And what I've had to learn through my sacred void, which is sounds like what you were doing as well, is I had to learn to bring my energy back and down so that I was sitting in my energetic center and delivering great value, but I was here and not here, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And it
Well,
sounds like that's kind of what you were doing as well.
yeah, that to me is integrating the feminine into your life and sitting with
Totally.
your
Yes.
wow woman planted, right? Like really grounded,
Hmm.
solid. I love that word, solid. Uh, calling things in. And again, it's not like I didn't do it before. Like all the TEDx that I had, the opportunities that I had, all the things came without effort. Like everything that I've been teaching has been part of it, but there was still a maturity, perhaps I want to call it, and I don't know if it's a maturity. It's more like a being more connected, which is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. Everything that I can teach now will, for a woman, yeah, it will, it's an evolution.
Yes.
But being in that place where you feel like this is my place,
Yes.
which then my work now has changed
Yes.
because now I am not going to be teaching the same way. In fact, now I can teach even more around this,
Yes.
being more solid in what you need to do to get here
Yes.
in this place. And I still love doing, I still love getting things done. I have that driven part of me, ambitious. I love her, but it's going to come with space,
Mm.
with tons of joy, enjoying every moment, and with, none of the, perhaps I had glimpses at times like, oh, what if, is the money gonna come in? That's why I restructure my whole business. I'm still in the process to have a solid, consistent. And then, before I was moving some with the feminine, and now it's more like a solid implementing, doing what I said I was going to do and keep it more steady. Because before, for someone who got those hits from like the moments and the lunches and all that stuff, that dopamine hit, right?
From the, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like I just needed to do that. And that was the satisfaction.
Well, that makes a lot of sense though, because part of your I can't moment was deeply linked to receiving from the masculine, you were saying.
Yeah,
So, and that's not just Rob, your husband, that's your business. That's so
exactly.
you're creating masculine structure in your business so that you are receiving from your business without having to be kind of performing and making it happen yourself all the time. You're more in a receptive state because of the systems and structures you're putting in place now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had it in some areas, but now I wanted all of that. And that piece of the masculine
Mm.
was the key to have to receive from my husband, and beautifully said, to receive from my business, which is all coming to fruition. But just knowing that I don't have to pull it off all the time. And yet
Yes.
I can be in choice to do it at my own pace.
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
because I think at this age that very few people talk about, we have a lot of things happening. I don't have kids, so I don't have the part where kids are finishing school. You do.
Mhm.
And then they're going to college or they're starting, into that, and eventually they'll leave and all that stuff. You have your parents that are older. For example, this spring for us, uh, my mom and dad and I went to New York together for 4 nights, and it was a blast. We had so much fun to be able to go to New York with my parents, and I would not say no to that. I would not say no. So that's why I need a structure to help me organize and know when I can plan it, but I will prioritize that. My niece this summer was going to stay here for a couple of days. She ended up staying for 3 weeks. And I had to plan what I was doing at the time. And I feel so blessed and in such a state of appreciation for Rob holding the fort for me to take that time off. Because again, I'm doing some stuff now to be able to do this.
Yes. Rewind back again to you entering this sacred void and saying, I can't.
Mm.
Tell me what the mental self sabotage, the mental gymnastics, what were the voices that came up for you when you dared to not push forward with how you were doing life in the same way anymore? Like you were being called to do things differently,
Yeah.
and you were being called to receive even more from the masculine. And I just want to also reiterate here for anyone that doesn't know you, it's true. You have always been exceptional at receiving. That's your gift. It's what you do. It's what you teach. It's what you're all about. So you're already really, really good at that. So this was just a calling to go deeper into receiving from the masculine and healing, as you were saying, healing pieces with different people in your life and aspects and experiences of your life so that you could receive more.
Yeah.
But there's the messy middle, isn't there? Like when we're called to go deeper and we're essentially, I feel like the sacred void is a call into a deep identity shift.
Completely.
And right. And so you're embarking on this identity shift, whether at the time you had the language for it like that or not. I wouldn't have had the language for it in my own sacred void like I do now.
Mhm.
And your stuff comes up, right? And as you're letting go of an old identity and you're essentially in between identities, which is the void piece,
Yeah.
and you're moving towards something new, you're not 100% sure what it is yet. You kind of have a sense of how it's going to feel, but not what it's going to look like, practical day to day terms. All your stuff's coming up. So I'd love for you to share what, if you don't mind, what some of that
No, of course not.
stuff
Oh my God,
was.
no, you know me already. Okay, so I panic. So that's where it all started from panic attack, right?
Right? Hmm.
Something I've never felt before because I never allow myself to feel, to touch, to go that deep.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and I immediately knew. So, okay, I call her Miss Brains. My mind, it's like
Hmm.
very much knowing, okay, if we're gonna do this, we need this. And I started writing down, okay, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to. So Rob's gonna, check. Rob finding work. Okay. Um, I'm gonna have to have the support,
Yeah.
right? And so after I did that, because that's what keeps me safe and that keeps me sane, then what came rest after was shit, pure messiness. Like you name it. I had to face all of my fears. So what I committed to was to face, for me was, this is it. I'm either in or out. Literally, like, I'm out of here. Like, what's the point of me being here?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to face all of your fears. So you're going to say no to the deepest, like, no, I can't do this. If an opportunity to do something, no, you're going to say no. If, I mean, I remember just allowing myself to feel the darkest and deepest stuff. It's hard to explain. I can tell you what it looks like. It looks like me on the bathroom floor, and I'm not trying to copy Eat, Pray, Love, but kind of like, I don't know why. It's just something in the
Why
bathroom.
is there always a bathroom floor
I
involved?
have no idea, but it was there. Just like what I say in the shower, I get my, when I'm like washing my armpit, I get all the best ideas. Well, maybe that's what needed to happen. It looks like me in my pajamas, crying like a baby. What do you call that? Uh, welling, is
Oh,
that
wailing. Yeah,
wailing?
wailing, sobbing. Yeah.
Sobbing, yeah,
Yeah.
sobbing, and just don't stop.
Mm.
Don't stop me. Because I had that inner, like, okay, you're done up until then.
Right.
I,
So you just
I
let yourself go.
go, go, which is like, I don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think I did it at times, but this time felt different. I
Yeah.
think I did it before. This time felt different. Perhaps
And
I,
it can feel scary to let yourself really allow those deep primal guttural emotions out, can't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Rob was for most of them, God bless him, holding, holding me. Um, yeah.
I remember when I was in the early stages of my sacred void, and because I also, like you, I mean, I pulled back. Well, not exactly like you. It was a little different, wasn't it? I pulled back from my business enormously. I actually still had the masculine structure of a membership. So that was just ticking over in the background. And I'd been doing that on autopilot for 5 years. So I could keep showing up for that each month. Like 4 times a month, I was showing up live in that group and doing what needed to be done behind the scenes. And that was easy for me because, like I said, I'd been doing it for so long, and I had a few private clients going, but I wasn't creating new content. I wasn't creating new programs. I wasn't launching. So therefore, I had pretty much zero social media presence. I was not online. No one knew. I mean, my community sort of knew that Katie had moved from the UK to America, but she went dark.
At that time.
It was at that time for me. So she went dark, and did anyone care? I don't know. Probably nobody cared, right? But what I will say is the noise in my head was, I'm irrelevant. I'm becoming
Yes.
more and more irrelevant every single day that I don't show up. The more I honor this need to not perform, be in the world, have my energy forward, the more irrelevant I'm becoming. So that was a hard one to juggle because I was following my deep soul truth of being in my own space and trusting that that was going to have to happen for as long as it was going to happen. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I had the other voice, and every business coach I've ever had, their voice essentially ringing in my ears saying, what are you doing? You are becoming more and more irrelevant every day. And it was, it, I mean, it proved to me, it showed me that so much of my identity was wrapped up in the performance. Not that I think I'm a performer in my work. I think I actually have always communicated pretty authentically, and I teach from that place. And still, the
It's the
showing,
inner experience. It's not the outer experience. It's the
right?
performing, that pressure that you put on yourself
Yes.
to perform, to be there, to hold a space, to do the right things.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
wasn't, because I wasn't on social media anymore and I wasn't even putting out a newsletter. I mean, I went dark. And so I wasn't getting feedback, because when you're putting yourself out in the world, you're getting positive and negative feedback. People saying, "Oh, that was really interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that." Or, "I think you're completely crazy." I wasn't getting anything back to give me identity, to give me a sense of significance, a sense of
Yes.
connection, to feel safe. I was just in this abyss of nothingness until I discovered it was everything and a return to self, and it's beautiful. But it was uncomfortable to pull back. And I noticed, and there's many more things I noticed, which I have spoken to already and I will speak more to later. But the noise that goes on in your head when you decide to follow your soul's truth,
Yeah.
it as you shift your identity,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, I realized I was a workaholic. I didn't know how attached to work I was until I was
Yeah.
forced to pull back.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say the feeling irrelevant, because for me, it wasn't about being irrelevant necessarily. And to your point, yes, we're peeling the ego, like a
Yeah,
layer of the ego, right?
yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
me, it was, I am, I had the word. I am, um, it's not the word, betraying others. Like I am, I said I was gonna be there. They need me and I'm
Right.
not there.
So you're sort of letting them down.
Yeah, letting them down. I was letting people down. That was what I needed to clear. That's what, because why, that was the hyper responsibility that I took my whole life for people counting on me and me not showing up. And that's it. Like for me, it was like, I can't hold this anymore.
Mm,
I can't hold that. I can't have that. That's the pressure that drove me to do many things. Like they're
yeah,
counting on me, and it was great because my good girl loves that.
yeah,
But I needed to end that because I realized that as much as I needed to take responsibility for many things in a new way, I now anybody and everybody in my life will have to do the same.
yes,
I
yes.
don't have to be that person anymore. And that completely peeled it off. Like I know it. I know it in my being. I'm so
Mm,
clear that no more.
yes, no more.
And it was an internal. It was an internal that then I was creating that, translating that, and I don't want that in my business. I don't want to feel that. And it's not about my clients, it's about me. I'm sure you never felt that from me, that when it was an inner thing.
Yes,
But
totally.
yeah, it's come from my story, where I
Yes,
grew up and how I grew up. So that's also part of like facing the biggest things. So that's why no, I'm gonna hold back. I'm not gonna respond to this. I'm not gonna respond to that. I'm not gonna like anything that makes me feel like others need me. No, I'm not available. So that's what I was very strategic about, being very clear what I needed to say no to and yes to. And yeah.
yes. But when we start being more clear on our yes and our no, and we know it and we honor it, that can bring up all of our stuff, can't it? Of like you
Yeah.
were saying, out, the sense of responsibility to other people, the people pleasing, the need for, them to be okay so that you can feel okay. I mean, it really does bring that to the surface to be looked at, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I also want to, I want to like, kind of go deeper into this. It wasn't that I needed others to be okay so I could be okay. It was that I don't know why I had that sense of responsibility that I was the one that needed to make others feel good. That was my job on this
Mm.
earth. That's what I came here for. That's the belief I had.
So it must have been really uncomfortable unwinding that belief and creating a new identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I stopped. So then I also did the same. I stopped with social media. My communication with my clients, it was very overwhelming in the moment. I couldn't even put things into word until not too long ago. um Me sharing this came at the perfect time because now I have it even more clear, but at the time I couldn't translate it. I was trying to kind of like keep offering some parts of it,
Mm.
but it wasn't really coming through and it made no
Mm.
sense. And then I decided to open a membership so then we can have more of a circle of women coming together.
Mhm.
And then in that more intimate space, I could share more. And I did as I could and how I could. Uh,
Mhm.
we're like a year and a half into it now, so great, but it was so interesting. I couldn't even have the words to share and to express what was happening because I had to stop. I had to keep it to myself. Like that was the hardest thing.
You didn't have to explain yourself to anybody, and you had to just allow yourself to go through it and speak when you felt called to speak and
Yeah.
share. Mm.
Yeah, and I had to honor it to the T. Like in my world, the wild woman was so clear,
Yeah.
so clear, and she was like, "No, no."
Yeah.
She was leading. Yeah, she took over.
So, Paula, they say that age is just a number,
Mhm.
but there really is something about turning 50.
Yeah.
And I, I've got conversations with other women coming up on this topic who went through their sacred void at around 50 or late 40s at the very least. But there is something about this time of life that seems to activate this
Mhm.
ego deconstruction and like a stepping into your wisdom and really choosing to live this next chapter in a different, even more aligned way. And by the way, the women I'm speaking to, including you, are all very aligned, very congruent, very authentic, truly walking their talk in the world. And yet they're called even more to be in and connected to their wisdom and living even more from that place. So any remnants of anything that is got them like I have been, energy forward to energy back, like coming back and down into the truth of who they are. It just seems like this is when we're called to do it. And I wonder what you have to say about that.
Well, I have a lot to say about that. You got time? But okay, I'll make it simple. Okay, a couple of things happen. So this is at this time is when we have almost no choice to not include the feminine in our
Mm,
lives.
right. And I know you're going to say more, but are we going to bring in something around menopause and hormonal
Yes,
shift? Yeah.
right. So I kind of want to say, okay, if you're in your 40s listening to this, better
Prepare
hurry up.
yourself.
Better hurry up and do it as you go and be diligent about it. And,
Yeah.
you know, and again, I thought I was doing it, but somehow then the perimenopause and the menopause, now I'm in menopause already. So the perimenopause, what happens is it's a chemical thing that, you know, estrogen lowers,
Hmm.
and estrogen is the hormones that cares.
Yes.
So you
Yeah,
stop
you start
caring.
you
You don't
stop
need to
giving a shit
care.
anymore.
You don't need to care. So there's that.
Yes.
And it's part of it, and it makes sense. You know,
Yes.
for me, it was a little bit more Latin American soap opera. I can't, but it really is. I don't want to give a shit. You can say it either way.
Yeah.
Say it either
Totally.
way. That's the estrogen. So there you go. Your progesterone, testosterone. Your testosterone is not the same. You don't have the same levels. You don't have the same energy. And so you need to learn to optimize and work with that. So it's all connected. It's all
Mm.
connected. And again, I was being true to myself in that time, you know, and then because you know, we were trying to get pregnant at some point. Like I got to, you know, a lot. That this is also part of a realization I had. I'm like, how come I never thought about cycles, like what happens in a cycle within? So that's part of what I'm introducing in my work moving forward. But yeah, all of that. You know, being confronted to your body shifting and changing. For me, it was shifting the things that used to work don't work anymore. And now I'm learning all these things on top of all the other stuff that I had. It felt very overwhelming. So now I got it down pretty good, you know. It's always a work in progress. Now that I'm in menopause, it feels a little bit more stable. I know what I need, but it was very extremely overwhelming to not know and then to look information as you do. You go look for information and everyone tells you one thing, another one tells you another thing, and you're like, oh my God. I remember your menopause series that you
Yeah.
did, but I
Yeah.
didn't watch it at the time because I didn't think it was necessary for me at the time, and I had already had so many things. I wish I watched it. So yeah, so all of
Mm.
that stuff. But basically, like really prioritizing your joy, giving yourself permission. I have one of my dearest clients that's coming to mind. To her name is Katie, and you know, this is part like I have everything I need and I want. Like, why am I not allowing myself to enjoy it?
Hmm.
And this is it. We do this to ourselves.
Yes.
We don't allow. It's like there's always needs something more, and like, you know. So how do we connect with this part of ourselves and actually embody and become that part of ourselves and allow this part of ourselves into our lives
Mm.
where we it, it we're in a different time and in a different rhythm. I enter a different rhythm of my life.
Yes, and I would say for me as well, absolutely, of course, 49, 50, 51 now. It's the sacred void for me has been, I mean, my body has basically just stepped forward and said, okay, woman, enough. Like we physically can't do life the way we've always done it. I physically don't have the hustle because I don't have as much testosterone anymore. Actually emotionally don't care enough like I used to because I don't have any estrogen anymore. So it's really, it is interesting to notice that at this phase of life, there are actual chemical shifts going on in the body, but the key is like, you don't have to listen to that. You can ignore and carry on the way you are. But it's why we're seeing more women of our age group burning out because we can't do it the same way. It doesn't mean you can't have a purposeful career. It doesn't mean you can't have the impact you want to have, be the woman you want to be in whatever arena of life you want to be it.
Of course.
You just have to find your own way of doing it that honors your energy levels, that honors what you are physically and emotionally and mentally capable of. and we have
Right.
to adjust. And so I think the sacred void gives us pause and space to consciously choose how we're going to adjust. And yes, all our shit comes up in that adjustment and in that re-identification. And it's different for each of us for, different reasons. But yeah, our body absolutely is saying, please listen to me, or you're going to really suffer through these hormonal shifts. It's going to not be good.
No, at some point, definitely. At some point, it's gonna come with the bill and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
what is it?"
Yeah.
And I know that this is a period, and then, I know that in a couple of years, maybe a year or two, I know I'm gonna go back to it, but I would never do it again from the same place that I was doing it now. And
Yeah.
like you said, I can see, I'm already feeling this more energy, as I balanced what I needed to do. And I feel the enthusiasm. I did not want to do anything. I was completely in. So it almost felt like someone deleted from my mind everything I did. I would look at the things I done in my work and I'm like,
Couldn't remember
how did
doing
I
it.
do that?
How did I do that?
How did I do that? I could never do it right now. Like I felt like I was starting my business over.
Yes, I relate to that so
Seriously.
much.
To
Mm.
the point, listen to this. To the point, I found out they hacked my ads account. So now I have to start a whole new from scratch Instagram. Be careful what you ask for, because they hacked my account and I can't use it for future if I want to do any ads. So I have to create a new account. So literally, I'm starting new in this new level, new beginnings. But it all goes into what we teach. What I teach: new beginnings. There's cycles. There's rhythms, right? Uh, so I know that I'm going to do to be successful, and I've been working on this for a couple years, for many years, redefining success and how I want it, and I can still do what I want. And because now I'm more in this space where I am
Mm.
sitting back and I am in my center and I know
Mm.
what I want and I know how to ask for it. And I'm very clear. And if I'm not, I'll take the time to get clear before I take actions. Uh, I know this from this place. I can create, and I don't have to do it alone. I don't have to hustle. I can create the structures in my business to set myself up and do the things that bring me joy, which is what I probably could have done before, but I didn't know how, or I knew, but I couldn't let go of control. I didn't trust enough. I had a hard time. Like, people were going to really see my vision, blah, blah, blah. Now I got over it. And now I know that I can create that. Part of this big taking that weight of responsibility out of my back had to do with allowing even more people to come in, trusting people at a deeper level, and knowing that there are so many amazing people in the world that are so willing to show up for me.
Mm. Wow. I'm not there yet. That's it. That's
Let's
still a
get you
piece for
there.
me. Yeah, let's get me there. Yeah, that is still a piece for me, is trusting that someone else will support my business and me as well as I do it.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah,
one.
it is a
It's a,
big one.
yeah.
So you've already alluded to some of the shifts that have emerged from this time in your sacred void.
Mhm.
And I wonder if you could share a little more, like what, yes, so what, are you on the other side of it? Are you still in it a little bit? Where would you say you're at with it? Does it ever
Ah,
end? I don't know. It's like is it an on, I don't, how would you
okay,
describe it?
so because our brains need to know, I could say with honest truth, maybe I am at like 70, 75% in.
Right.
Yeah. With myself, I'm definitely maybe a 90 with
Hmm.
the things in my life. Yeah, I'm still recalibrating, and it's not,
Mm. Yes, that's
but
really
it's
beautiful.
coming. But
That's beautiful.
I have I have the trust that it will happen, and that's the first step to do it.
Mm.
But yeah, a couple months ago, I don't know if I was still there. And there,
Well, I mean,
yeah, sorry, but there are times where you also don't feel it, okay? You feel like, you have the PTSD kind of thing of what happened, and then yeah.
if you could give advice to Paula, I'd go all the way back to pre-2020 because that was the beginning of all of this, really, for you,
Oh
wasn't
my
it?
God, pre-2020, okay.
So, knowing what you know now, is there any advice you would give her to help her move through these years of sacred void in a
Mm.
different way?
I'm really considering if Paula in 2019 would have had the attention to listen to what I said, what I have to say. So I'm being a little critical of myself.
Okay. That's
But
great
also
though.
being
Yeah.
honest, but I'm also being
Yeah.
honest. Because I was still in that, like, like wanting to make this happen. And really what I was doing then is wanting to build this, but I didn't have the elements necessary that then I
Mm,
what I would say to Paula in 2019 now would be to to do the to ask even for more help, in the sense of to do the work to learn to trust
mm,
others. That's where I would start. And also to really put myself as the number one priority.
mm. That it's okay to do that because you know now in retrospect that it was survivable. But at the beginning, you're like, will everything fall apart? Is everything going to come undone if I'm not the one doing all the things?
Right. So I would tell her, you're not responsible. Okay. So in this order, I would say you're not responsible for everyone and
Yeah.
everything. Number one. Number two, I would say put yourself as your number one priority, meaning you can still care about others, but make sure that you are um, supplemented, that you have all the things that you need, and honor them. Don't, if someone comes in that needs something, do that you first and then do the rest.
Mm,
Be very diligent about that. That's what I would say. And
mm,
then do the deep work on trusting, because when you know that you're not responsible, and again, that was my story, and then you know that you are going to, even in the little things, if Rob wakes up, I would say don't make his coffee first, make your coffee first, silly things like that. um,
right.
you
Yeah.
can you can start doing things for you first, which I
Mm,
did, but more diligent.
yeah.
Uh, and then you start building that trust in yourself that you got your back.
Yes.
And then it's way easier to trust others, to start asking for what you want, knowing when to pull back, especially pulling back. Oh my gosh, I should have said that to her. I would want to say that. Pull back instead of like anticipating, doing like right, like
Yeah.
that energy. So pull back. I had a little taste with my niece when she came here, and all the, like, so many things that happened, and I was like, oh my God, I can see, because I don't have children. So I never had that experience of someone really needing and depending on you, which is a child.
Mhm.
So it was very interesting how to keep and sometimes just even ask her, like, okay, I would say, Titi, Titi is overwhelmed right now. I need a minute. And she would say, this is without prep talk or anything. She would say, okay, Titi, okay. And she would give me the space, you know?
You just
Uh,
had to ask.
yeah. And just express it very
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah.
Bingo. So stuff like that. And then because that has to do with that connection with yourself. When you start voicing it, something magic happens. And then you realize what I always teach. People, it's very joyful to give. So if you're always the one giving and not giving space for others to give you, which
Hmm.
you're receiving, then you're robbing them. You're taking the opportunity for them to give you.
Mm. Yeah. You're sharing what we know, you're sharing what we have both been teaching for years. And it's so beautiful to hear you, and for me to speak to embodying it just so much more deeply.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful because it's just a layer by layer by layer by layer, isn't it? And it's really taken it back a few more layers.
Yeah. Nothing that I went through was new.
You, no, yes, I
Right?
understand.
Like, did
Yeah,
it happen for you too?
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing.
No, it
A
wasn't.
couple of pieces were new. I mean, I could speak about it separately, but some shame around money and so on. That's another conversation that felt new. But apart from that, and when I say shame, well, I've said it now, so let me just say it. When I say shame about money, I mean ashamed that I wasn't the main breadwinner. So as soon as I stopped and pulled back, I was still bringing money in, but because I wasn't bringing in money in the way that I always had, and because I have worked since I was 14 years old and I had such an identity of I provide financially. That is my identity. And even though I'd been married for several years, James was not my provider. We provided together. We jointly, like, we just split everything down the middle, mortgage, the whole thing. And when I decided to pull back in my business, I was no longer contributing in the way that I always had. And that came for me hand in hand with so much shame. And I really had to move through that. So I mean that can be a separate podcast. But you know, apart from that piece, most of the layers of stuff that I had to work through were not necessarily new information, just deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm thinking as you speak, I'm thinking about, I mean, I definitely felt shame. Shame for see, I'm still like articulating that.
Yeah,
I haven't really been talking about this too much. That's the thing. Uh,
right. And we're both still in it to a degree, right? Where we've moved
yeah,
through
yeah, of
enough to
course.
be able to support other women who are moving through their own void. Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm now being shown that I'm meant to be doing now, because this is a familiar place for a lot of midlife women.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think, I mean, I could say what's coming up is the shame of not not having done better in the business, like the structures, like so much that you talk about receiving, you didn't set yourself up for having a business that allowed you to continue to receive. Um,
Bad girl.
that girl.
You're not
Um,
good enough. How dare you?
oh my God. So, yeah, and then, some body shame that I still had somewhere in there, some like little voices. Um, Yeah, it's
Mm.
yeah, it's yeah. And as I did this, also part of this too was the gift that I gave Rob and our relationship, where it's going. I mean, Rob is like, it's shifting in ways that I was like, oh my God.
And
Oh,
I can say exactly the same. It's the giving ourselves, I'm speaking for you and me right now, that we gave ourselves permission to move into this sacred void in the way each of us have had to, and step back in the way each of us have had to, has been a gift to them to step up in different ways. And I know you've shared that about Rob. I can say the same for James.
yeah.
And you know, when I speak of financial shame, of me not feeling like I'm providing, James had stuff around being the provider and being taken advantage of. He had stuff around that. So kind of wanted to be a provider, but didn't want to be taken advantage of. And so it became a piece for us to talk through and moved him into a place of feeling proud and really stepping into his empowered masculine, that he could be a solid financial foundation for us while I pulled back. I also, my business set me up. I had finances. So it wasn't like I suddenly had nothing. Thankfully that was there for
Of
me.
course.
Thank God, you know, and that gave me personally a lot of security, but I wasn't monthly coming up with new injections of cash. And
Exactly.
he was. So he suddenly stepped into that role. And so it really has been a gift to him. And I wonder what the gift, if you'd like to share a little more, the gift that Rob experienced.
No, I mean, the gift on first, I discover in my family that I come from a lineage of women putting men down.
Mm,
And then the lesson that I had about men were that we need to help men. So look at this thing. You, I have to help men, but then on the flip side, I put men down.
yeah.
Fucking A, like, what is this? So twisted,
Mm,
you know? So of course, I was doing it one way or another in my relationship with Rob, no exception. And he was working on his own not feeling that he was doing enough,
right.
that what he did was enough for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you come together. This is yet another proof of you come together to heal in a relationship. And again, that's probably for
Another podcast.
another podcast to talk about it. But
Yeah.
yes, but it was perfect because the beauty of this is that we came to the center of the, what do you call it, the nut.
Yeah.
We came to, oh, this is why we want to kill each other right now.
Yeah.
And we were triggering each other's buttons like crazy because we both had that. And the beauty of your work, my work, and being on this journey is that now we can actually heal it together, and it's bringing us closer.
Mm.
It
Mm.
brought us closer in this. So yeah, just stopping being the woman who makes things happen, like what we were talking at the beginning. Like, no, you still have to, like, it doesn't make me less of a woman.
Right.
um, it actually allows my husband, it's the union, is the tango, is
Mm.
what I teach, is the real tango,
Yeah.
is where you're both in union. And I needed that because I was teaching it, but it wasn't fully. Um,
Another layer. And all of what we're speaking to here just goes to show that, and I know this is something that you teach, that when we listen to the calling of our soul, when we're being asked and we don't necessarily understand, and we're maybe not even ready to trust it, but when our soul is asking us to move forward in the world in some new way, when we listen, even though our mind might say that we're letting people down or we're going to become irrelevant or whatever the noise is that comes up, actually it's a win-win for everybody. So for both of us in our relationships, our marriages, it has been a win-win. Not always easy. I've had to move through some bumpy stuff that's come up because of the identity shifting. And it's been a win-win for our clients. It's a win-win for our family, extended family. It's a win-win. Ultimately, it's a win-win, but our ego and our conditioned mind will want to convince us otherwise. But we have to trust and go with it, don't we?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell you that, you know, on this flip side, my relationships with my parents completely healed. They're at, you know,
Mm,
I don't know how long they'll live, hopefully as long as possible. But even that trip to New York was like the confirmation of it really brought us into a new place of trust in the relationship together,
yeah.
to receive from them, because I also being in America making money, I'm like, oh, I'm the one that has to provide, has to give to everybody because I'm the one making more, whatever that more is in my mind.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was also saying like, no, like this, or you because you don't have children, or you because you can move, you can come anytime because you don't have children, like, wait, I have a life, I have a husband, I have a cat, I have a home. Like, what do you mean? Like, no,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
value my time. It was about valuing myself in a completely new way.
Yeah.
And so in this relationship with my parents, like, to me that's it. To me that's like I needed to heal that. That was a big one. um and yeah, and then again, not having to carry it all.
Yeah. Not having to carry it all. Yeah. Amen to that. Oh, darling, I feel like we need to wrap up now. I don't know how long we're talking for, but we could keep going. And I'm going to close us out. So thank you so much for your time. I love you so much. You've taught me so much over the years. You were one of my first ever coaches, and we did a lot of profound work together. So I'm always in gratitude to you. And I'm so glad that over the years we have now become friends.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, you're fab. If anybody wants to explore more of you and your work, because we've touched on a lot of your work today, where can they find you?
Well, they can go to Empower Woman Life for right now. I might change the name and on Instagram, or just go Paula Lacobara on Instagram. That's my first one, and you can DM me there. Yeah, you
But
can
Empowered Woman Live with a V or an F?
life, way of life,
Life.
life.
Okay, Empowered Woman Life. And that's your Instagram?
Yeah, or paulalacobara.com, which is also, I'm shifting that too soon. So many fun things are shifting. Yes.
Yeah, and me, my love, and me. It's ever shifting now. And I
Or they
think
can reach out to you so you can give them my information.
whatever the current information is, I'll have it.
We'll have the latest. Yes.
Oh, I love that. Love you so much. Keep
Oh
doing
my
what
God.
you're doing. Thank you for being you in the world, because the world needs more aligned coaches who are walking their talk. It really does.
Thanks.
And yeah, thank you.
I love you so much as well. And you are the best interviewer ever. I love your questions. I told you that, so I'm going to praise you right here live. Thank you for giving me the space to be open and also to voice this that I haven't really been voicing it as much. So, and to everyone, I'm just such an honor that you got to listen to the whole thing and really trusting that our experiences serve you on your journey.
Absolutely. All right, darling. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. So wasn't that a really great conversation with Paula? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you resonated with anything we shared around the experience of being in that sacred void, then I would love to invite you to come and join me for a completely free 5-day experience. I'm hosting a very special women's circle. It's called Awakened and Aligned. We start on the 20th of October. So it runs from the 20th to the 24th of October. That's 5 days. You'll just need to set aside about 30 minutes every day to receive a beautiful guided audio from me, a very small little teaching. And every evening, if you would like to join, you're welcome to come and join me on Zoom, where we will meet in circle as a group of women who all get each other. I'm going to be coaching, I'm going to be answering your questions, and I'm going to be helping you to gently move through the sacred void that you're in, wherever you are at on that journey. And through the 5 days, we're going to be gently opening the door, just cracking it open to the potential and possibility that's there waiting for you. It's all about moving you in a very sacred way into your next chapter. I hope that you'll join me. I can't wait to meet you.